We have made the world that we're living in. Humanity has. We have built it, constructed it, configured it, evolved it, refined it, experienced and learned within it as functionally or dysfunctionally as we have. And there's an inertia, a momentum of the past, tribal past, collective past, ego past, taproot past, that is inherently unconscious and dysfunctional and formative. It's not wrong or bad. It's simply not capable in the present moment of gracefully and consciously and equanimously meeting the present moment of our own experienced creation as a species and as nations and as individuals. How many people really enjoy cable TV or being able to log on to YouTube and see funny videos or learn something that they enjoy learning or want to know about? Okay. Probably more than a dozen. And that said, if there was not a motivation or a drive in humanity for what exists in the present moment to exist in the present moment, it wouldn't exist in the present moment. We did this to ourselves, and we wanted to. And that word, want, is an important thing to understand. We chose, we either subconsciously, unconsciously wanted and desired, and from feeding motivation, to create the world as it is in this moment, or we consciously as we could, supposedly, logically, wisely, or necessarily have generated this world as it exists in this moment. And we would also suggest that the world in this present moment is a projected dynamic of the tribal human past, meaning the momentum of the past creating ever more complexified dysfunction that we then experience and either enjoy or don't enjoy, want or don't want, feel benefited by or stressed out by. So if that's the case, we've created this world we live in for ourselves, assuming that we would like it and that it would be good for us, or that it would be good for our families or children, or that it's necessary to keep us safe, or that it's going to give us something that we want. And it just so happens that the way we created the world is burning the world down, the natural world. Building our artificial world that humanity likes or wants or is addicted to is burning down the natural world. So we're eating away at the foundation of our ecosystem that keeps us alive while focusing on experiencing getting what we want in terms of ego process, tribal process, or taproot feeding process. If we're getting what we thought we wanted, and what we thought we wanted is costing us far more than we anticipated it would cost us, socially, emotionally, individually, relationally, politically, economically, and ecosystem-wise, is it necessary that we arrive at that understanding collectively? That what we want costs too much. Too much for us, too much for each other, too much for those we love, too much for the species, too much for the natural world and the planet. It costs too much. We wanted it, we desired it, we're motivated to have it, we're addicted to having more and more and more of it constantly, and it costs too much. So the question is, how do we meet that moment of collective global understanding on the part of humanity and put our foot on the brake of having what we want? And simultaneously find it within ourselves to have the courage and discipline and maturity and faith and love for ourselves and each other and future generations to say, how are we going to build something that will work? It's this, if we call it a global species level evolutionary dissonance and resultant anxiety and stress process that humanity is now experiencing that is educational in nature. So that last part, really important. It's not punishment. We're not damaging each other, harming each other. It's an educational process that's going on this planet. The question is, are we going to learn that which must be learned if we want to have a sustainable life process for currently 7.5 billion people, and by 2050, potentially 9.5 billion people, and then beyond? And how do we arrive at those embodied understandings as individuals and groups and collectives and cultures and nations? And as an international community, how do we arrive at that embodied understanding right now so that we can change our choices, change how we make our decisions, how we affect what we want in the world, and what we choose to affect in the world? And that's the learning process. We hope it's been adequately communicated and clearly stated right in this moment. And why it's stressful, because it means us reflecting upon our past and saying, well, did we do it wrong? Or should we have made the decisions we made in the past? Or should we have made different decisions than we did in the past? And are we supposed to now judge and punish and hate and vilify ourselves? Or is it more optimal to forgive and unconditionally love and intend good things for each other and serve each other in the process of collectively working together to generate a sustainable life process for humanity within 8 years? So does it make sense that from all those perspectives, collective stress is understandable and even a necessary process to go through in order to transcend prior dynamics of ego, tribe, taproot feeding, and unconscious decision-making that were not informed by sufficiently conscious, wise discernment? In that process, of course, forgiveness, radical, total, comprehensive forgiveness of every moment of the millions of years, perhaps, of human history that brought us to this wonderful opportunity that feels so stressful right now, forgiving the entire past and our own individual past, every moment of life up until today, and every moment of life, if you believe in reincarnation, that you've ever had in any other lifetime, because holding on to judgments of any of that is just going to make it more difficult to transform and translate our individual life processes and our collective life processes fast enough to meet this 8-year time-boxed mark.